Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm Layo Olayinde here in Lagos, Nigeria. We begin in the DRC, where the President, Felix Tshisekedi, has vowed to restore government authority in the eastern region, where Rwandan-backed M23 rebels have seized control. According to reports, the rebels have taken over Goma and are advancing south to take more territory. President Tshisekedi criticizes the international community for what he calls inaction and for not doing enough in the wake of escalating security crisis in his country. The president snubbed a Kenya-convened regional summit on Wednesday in favor of rallying his people to support the Congolese army. The virtual bloc meeting was attended by Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, Tanzania and Somalia. Since the fighting began, the city has been cut off from electricity while water and food is in short supply. The fighting has also forced about 500,000 people from their homes. Still on the conflict, South Africa says it is working to support its troops stationed in the Democratic Republic of Congo. At least 13 of its soldiers were killed in the conflict pitting M23 rebels against the Congolese army and its allies. The South African troops are part of the regional bloc's peacekeeping force in the region. The decision to deploy more soldiers is likely to be discussed at the Southern African Development Extraordinary Summit to happen today in Harare, Zimbabwe.
The M23 has been taking villages and towns over the past month or so, and we know that. Until they got to a place called Sake, where our operational base is located, where we're also co-located with Tanzania, Malawi, and ourselves, together with some of the MONUSCO people. So they attacked that base. And when our base came under attack, we then responded. And we did indeed push them back. Our soldiers are back in their bases. They are no longer engaging with M23. The engagement is between M23. So in their positions, they have all their possessions with them. And again, getting more support to them is something that we are working on to avoid any loss of life, but to make sure that even those that are bringing in those supplies are actually secure.
Rwanda's President Paul Kagame has lashed out at South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa, accusing him of telling lies and distorting their conversation on the DRC conflict. 13 South African National Defense Forces soldiers were killed in fierce clashes with the M23 rebels in eastern DRC. But President Kagame claims President Ramaphosa confirmed to him they were killed by DRC armed forces. In a strongly worded statement on the X social media platform, President Kagame says South Africa is in no position to play a peacemaker or mediator role. He branded SADC's peacekeepers as belligerent forces engaging in offensive combat to help the DRC government.
South Africa dares even issue threats about what is likely to happen after that and so on and so forth. Of course, we will see what threats they are talking about. Maybe they should have done that exactly for which they have been issuing threats. They should have done it to clean up the mess in Eastern Congo, or to fight back those who have been trying to clean up the mess. So then you have the whole international community just confused. They talked about Rwanda, they talked about the Nairobi process. Honestly, even here, maybe you will help me understand what all this means. The processes became an end in themselves. And the people leading these processes became more important than the results of the processes. The Nairobi process became a Uhuru process. Then the Rwanda process, it's like you can't say anything that will displease President Lorenzo. Definitely, this does not help deal with such a serious matters as we are faced with today. That in the end, just because they can't be addressed, we have such a situation that like we have now. And if anybody, and above all, I don't understand how Tshisekedi keeps thinking that he will.
Well, let's learn more about this with journalist Alex Kiari joining us virtually from Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for joining us on Network Africa.
Thank you very much, and you're also welcome.
Before we go into President Kagame's strong accusations, which I believe you were listening to, I'd like to ask you what you can tell us about, the virtual meeting that Kenya hosted of the East African community on this conflict in the DRC.
What we understand is that the two sides agreed that the Congolese president and the government should engage with the M23 rebels to have a solution, and especially come up with a ceasefire within Goma region in the southern Kivu province. And this is what we know for now, but more, of course, is what we are expecting from a SADC meeting involving the two sides, which President Kagame has also confirmed that he's going to be attending.
Now, you've mentioned the SADC meeting. We're seeing President Kagame with strong accusations against South African President Ramaphosa. What might be his strategic objective, in publicly challenging South Africa's role in the DRC?
You see, South Africa is the country that has sent in the highest number of troops into Eastern DRC. And it is also a country whose army suffered the heaviest losses during the recent confrontation of the M23 rebels. And for this reason, of course, we were expecting President Ramaphosa to also react to the same. And however, remember that the basis on which the SADC forces were deployed was a bit different from what was expected of the former East African Community Regional Force that had been there before that. President Tshisekedi turned to SADC because he felt that the East African Regional Force was not engaging enough with the M23 rebels, because he was expecting them, the troops, to engage. However, the East African Community Regional Force was deployed as a peacekeeping force, not as a fighting force. And this is why he had a very interesting fallout with Nairobi and other countries involved. And remember that the East African Community Regional Force also had Rwandese troops in there. It also had Ugandan troops in there, and of course Burundians. And remember that the Rwandese, of course, are being said was already are known to be supporting M23, together with the Uganda, which is also an interested party. And also remember that already, even as we speak right now, Burundian troops are also backing SADC forces. So Burundi has always been backing the Congolese government. So in itself, that force wasn't expected to do or play the role that President Tshisekedi was expecting them to. And that's the reason why he ordered them out and turned to SADC. And SADC now is being seen or viewed by Rwanda as an aggressor or an army that is supporting the Congolese army. So that's the reason why there is that kind of antagonism from both sides. And this is the reason why you are seeing Kagame daring them into combat.
Now, with Rwanda and South Africa at odds over this conflict, what are the possible diplomatic or military consequences for the region?
Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has always been a volatile place. It has always been a Waterloo for most of any intervention forces because beyond the intervention by Rwanda, as I said, there is also Uganda. And that aside, since this conflict metamorphosized from being about communities, it now has taken the shape of a struggle, a scramble for resources. I'm talking about coltan specifically, and as we all know, the biggest exporter of coltan globally is Rwanda. Yet Rwanda doesn't or is not known to have any coltan deposits on its soil. So these are the things that have made it such a question to everybody because they want to know why is Rwanda interested in that. And remember, it is not just Rwanda that is exporting or rather exploiting resources in that country. So many countries are involved. For example, Uganda is also said to be exploiting gold in the Ituri region, and Ituri was a creation of Ugandan troops, which hyped, or rather hyped Ituri out of the larger Oriental province. That's the reason why there's a lot of conflicts around it, and it's very hard to even unravel what's going on without antagonizing one party or stepping on the wrong toes.
Just before I let you go, Alex, so what is the situation on ground? You are in Nairobi, Kenya. In Kenya, how do Kenyans perceive, this DRC conflict and especially the role of its government in all of this?
So far, what I know is that the locals in Goma City are grappling with so many challenges now that there is no running water, there's no electricity, there's no internet. Even for us who are now trying to get stories and footage from our correspondents on the ground, they are forced to move to the neighboring Gisenyi town, which neighbors Goma, for them to be able to uplink or to send footage to us. So that's the thing. And so far, we also know that locals are also grappling with water shortages, which is now becoming a humanitarian situation, beyond the issues to do with the public health issues. And that aside, it is also emerging that a laboratory that is used for research on Ebola could also be at risk of being breached. And this in itself puts the population at a higher risk of an outbreak. So for this, it's quite a situation just like it will happen in any conflict zone. But it is unfortunate because Goma City is a home to almost a million, actually over a million people. And so far we know that over 500,000 people are now trying to have escaped from their homes and now trying to look for a safe place to be as the rebels try to take over and tighten their grip on the city.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Alex Kiari, Kenyan journalist, joining us from Nairobi. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
The daughter of former South African President Jacob Zuma, Dudu Zuma-Sambudla, has been arrested for her alleged involvement in the 2021 riots that left over 300 people dead. The former president's arrest over 4 years ago sparked violent protests which started at Durban and spread to Gauteng. Ms. Zuma-Sambudla, a controversial figure, was accused of sharing incendiary social media posts that fueled the civil unrest. She reported to Durban Central Police Station this morning to face charges under the Protection of Constitutional Democracy Against Terrorists and Related Activities Act, an incitement to commit violence. While she has not commented directly on the charges, she posted a cryptic note on the X social media platform that simply said, "We see you." South Africa faces a serious drug abuse crisis, with the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime estimating that up to 15% of the population may struggle with substance use. According to the South African Community Network on Drug Use, the most commonly abused substances include cannabis, heroin, and a dangerous heroin-based street drug. For more on this, our South Africa correspondent, Innocent Samosa, has more.
It's a growing crisis that has gripped many communities across South Africa. Drug abuse among young people here in Kaisen's, Johannesburg, the struggle is real. Families are watching their children fall into addiction, while some young community leaders are stepping up in the fight to save them. But can they win this battle? Let's find out. I spoke with young people struggling with drug addiction, but still holding on to hope for recovery. Zanelen Dombela, not her real name, says quitting drugs is not easy.
Oh, I started smoking because it was a friend that I used to go with. So by that time, I used to drink, but not a lot, yabo, occasionally. So the friend used to smoke, yabo. So when I was used to going with my friend, she used to smoke. So and then I'm like, what's that, yabo? And then she told me that, okay, this is crystal, it's a drug. You see, you smoke it like this, yabo. And then I'm like, okay, can I try? And then I tried. And then since I tried, she used to come to my place, and then she was like, let's go out, and then we started smoking. Yeah, I wish to quit because of, this thing is damaging, us, the body, our mindsets, damages everything.
Meanwhile, Kabelo Mukwena, who has been using drugs since 2016, shares that his family is deeply concerned and wants him to go to rehab.
They know which I smoke, but they've been trying to tell me to go to rehab. And I was thinking of going there as soon as possible. Yeah.
So you want to go to rehab and change your life?
Yes, that's what I want to do.
Many young people are trapped in addiction, often starting with substances like nyaope, crystal meth, and other drugs that are cheap and easy to access. But amidst the despair, hope is emerging. I visited Support Center for Children and Women, had a chat with some young volunteers at the center.
So what we do here at PND, we assist kids with extra homework, reading, sports. We also coach netball, football. We also teach kids poetry, dancing. We give them food every day after school and their homeworks.
Well, actually, the drug abuse is a lot, actually. So that's why we built this whole thing, to keep the kids occupied. Because if they don't have anything to do, they don't do their homeworks at home, they just go around on the streets. Some of the parents don't even look after their kids anymore. So once the kids are on the streets, they get abused by people who are on the streets. People tell them, come here, let me show you something nice, stuff like that.
The battle against drug abuse cannot be fought alone. While community efforts are crucial, more support is needed from government, businesses, and society at large. Will these lives be saved? That remains the ultimate test. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Samos, Channels Television News.
Well, here in Nigeria, the European Union's new ambassador to the country and to ECOWAS, Gauthier Mignon, has outlined the Union's plan for the country and the bloc. During a press briefing in Lagos, Mr. Mignon says the EU would want to partner closely with Nigeria at all levels to know the expectations, strategies and needs, and also to bolster trade, strengthen investment and positively impact the youthful population of Nigeria. The ambassador adds that he is committed to bringing the EU-Nigeria partnership to a higher level with the aim of positively impacting the Nigerian population.
What is my mission in Nigeria? I would sum it up very briefly, saying that it is to bring the EU-Nigeria partnership to a higher level with one goal, which is to positively impact the Nigerian population. As I told His Excellency the President last Friday, when I presented my credentials, in uncertain times like the one we are living in, a fast evolving world like today's world, you need constant and faithful partners. And this is what the EU is and wants to be for Nigeria. And conversely, we see Nigeria as a key partner and a major player in Africa and in the world. And our new leadership is very much interested to re-engage with Nigeria to strengthen our partnership. We hope to have high-level visits and meetings soon to announce, to impulse at the highest level this relationship. And so my mission, or rather our mission, because it is a teamwork, of course, is to inform, propose, and implement the decisions made by our leaders to strengthen our partnership. And in fact, I see my mission with two aspects. The first one is to give more visibility to what we are already achieving in Nigeria and with Nigeria. And the second aspect is to impulse new initiatives and projects to exploit the untapped potential in our partnership. We already have a very strong and global partnership based on shared values, human rights, democracy, rule of law, multilateralism, respect for international law, and based on common interests. And we are very much transparent on what our interest is in Nigeria and in West Africa. It is to see Nigeria and to see the region consolidate its role as an anchor of stability in Africa and its progress on its path towards a peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable future, resting on a robust democracy and allowing all citizens to enjoy their fundamental rights.
The ambassador of France to Nigeria, Marc Formbestier, has extended a hand of fellowship to the Lagos State government. Ambassador Marc Formbestier, who paid a courtesy visit to the Lagos State governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, at Lagos House Marina, says France is ready to work closely with Lagos State government and Nigeria at large across all sectors.
My visit has a threefold purpose. The first one is to pay a tribute to you, Mr. Governor, as a very high-profile member of the community. You are a recognized leader, inspirational. You are a driving force for your state, and so an ambassador like me must come and visit you and express to you his sincere sympathy and admiration. The second purpose of my visit is to ensure that what we do already together is on the right track and that we can launch even more ambitious projects because we bet on Lagos State. And the third reason is, even though I am not an expert in Nigeria, I have understood that firstly, Lagos State represents, well, a very important cornerstone of the economy of the country, and if the figure is right, maybe I'm wrong, it's more or less a quarter of the GDP. And it is also a political reality that the governors of this state have very often a bright future.
In his response, Governor Sanwo-Olu says the Lagos State government is also willing to explore potential collaboration in the areas of tourism and entertainment to boost the revenue and also achieve a win-win situation for both countries.
Welcome all of you here, Mr. Ambassador. We've had extensive, tremendous support, a very wonderful relationship with the French, government, the French embassy, and the consul general. In my almost 6 years in government, every successive, both ambassador and the consul general have had a pretty unique relationship with Lagos, and we were truly, truly happy. We're excited for that, and we're believing that in your turn, Ambassador Marc, that it will even grow further. There are big shoes to be filled, but we believe that it will go further. And so, we're excited. We're happy to have you. And it also speaks, because you said it, that Lagos is important to you. There are a few things that we're doing together in agri, in public transportation, in water transportation, that we've almost, closed all of the loops. And so it goes to show that we'll fashion out, how to improve the mutually beneficial, relationship, even as a subnational, that we are, as compared to, both sovereign in France and Nigeria.
And that's it on the program for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarindi.